morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today, we have a lot of interesting topics to talk about and a lot of interesting things to show. I want to start out by saying we all know, hopefully, that AI is reshaping the way we connect and adapt as a society. Gone are the days of simple face-to-face interactions. Now, every single human connection incorporates technology. Just take this webinar, for example. And we need that technology to really foster those meaningful relationships. So today, I plan to lead you through how XIQ can help you build better content, better outreach, and relationships in a few easy steps. So whether you're a seasoned sales professional, been doing it for years or your whole life, or just now venturing into the world of B2B sales, you have actionable strategies to help elevate your performance and drive that success. My name is Taylor Carden. I'm a senior account executive over at XIQ, and joining us as we explore the fascinating world of AI-driven communication and the importance of capturing credibility and connections is Usman Sheikh. He is the founder and CEO of XIQ. Prior to founding XIQ, Usman served in several vice president roles with global responsibility at SAP, including sales enablement and digital commerce. He is a regular lecturer at leading U.S. business schools on how AI is transforming B2B sales. Good morning, Usman.
Hey, good morning, Taylor. Thank you so much. What a great introduction. And what did you think about that last video, our latest and greatest video that we've just launched?
I love it. I love it. It's personalization, right?
It really is. And that's the name of the game. And we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, which is how AI is entirely changing the B2B sales and marketing game. And who else better than to talk about it, Taylor, than I think you, right? You're at the forefront of this. You've been now, using AI for about 3 years to do sales. You're a generation that's really growing up firsthand using AI for a business purpose. So I think in that regard, it would be great to hear from your experience, like, how do you, for example, foresee sales? And how is AI helping you change the way you go about doing things or how sales works? Why don't you share something about that with us?
Yeah, of course. So I speak with sales reps every day. I speak with sales reps coming into their roles, starting those SDRs, and I speak to people in partnerships. And what it all boils down to is everyone's discovering AI at the same time. Whether they'll adopt it at the same time is another question. I think those SDRs and young AEs are going to be scaring their partners and seniors because they're going to adopt it a lot faster. Like you said, Usman, I use AI in my daily life, in work, as well as outside of work. So there's an intention around it being really scary. And I know we hate that word scary with AI, but we get it. We understand it. It's new. It's unknown. But it's also very helpful if you do it in the right way. And you have the steps to make you do it in the right way. So that's why we've created Gilroy, and we've created those stepping stones for people to adopt it easily. But we'll be showing you that later. And Usman, I'd love to hear your perspective on this as well, because you're transforming the industry as well, but you're speaking to maybe people on a different level. So what are they seeing, or what are they talking about on a corporate level in terms of AI and adoption?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's definitely a major debate going on. And Taylor, just dial back the clock about a year and a half ago. And AI was a very abstract concept for most. And then suddenly November of 2022, and they launched ChatGPT, and it just took off. It became very viral. It was very user-friendly. It was very easy. It made life a lot easier. You were able to get to a lot of research and answers in a very simple, quick form. And that kind of ushered in the business world a concept as well, that you can get to this information and very curated information very quickly. And with that information, and information being power, you're able to react a lot faster to what's happening in the sales world. And you are able to personalize a lot more based on the different needs of the individuals that you will be talking to. And at the end of the day, when you boil that back up, what you see is that it's basically supporting the key concepts of sales, which is about people. Sales is done by people, amongst people. AI is a tool that comes out there to help you get to answers quicker and faster. But at the end of the day, the deal is still done amongst humans, and therefore there are emotions involved and there's logic involved. And a good salesperson has to be able to deal in logic and emotion at the same time. So that's what we hear. And that's why a lot of our clients actually like our tool, because we actually bring that logic and that emotion. The X IQ is made up of IQ, the logic part, and EQ, the emotional part. This is the behavioral science that we bring together in there. And so, yeah, Taylor, so what we are listening and hearing is on the street is that AI is a tool, and it can be really, there's definitely a lot of apprehension into the wrong usage of AI to do things like mass spamming and so on. But I think what we are here to show to the world and the audience today is how AI can really help sales makers like yourself actually perform at a much faster clip in a much more informed manner. So what is your process? Let's go back and see what are the three things you're doing that make you different with AI.
Of course, well, everything starts with the buyer. That's the person who's essentially going to be, signing your deal. It's not a company. So first, I want to understand my buyer, really understand their personality as well as their goals. What's in it for them? What's going to make them actually want to buy your product? Next, I want to understand and research my company, what's important to them on a macro and a micro level. And then lastly, I want to organize all of my decision makers. I wish it was one. I'm sure everyone in our audience wish it was just one person, but unfortunately it's not. It's often 5 or 6 and maybe even 8. So today I'm going to start by jumping into a person and showing you how I use XIQ to sell XIQ to NVIDIA. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Atasham, if you don't mind unsharing, thank you. And jump into XIQ directly. So what you're seeing on my screen is my instance of XIQ. And like Usman mentioned earlier, I use XIQ day in and day out. And so what you can do is essentially start looking up a person. So let's say my target is the VP of marketing. I can simply look up VP of marketing at NVIDIA, and then I can pull up Greg. Here, initially, we get to see who he is, what he does, where he works, as well as where he's located. Along with that, we get our XIQ predicted personality type. So here we can see Greg is a persuader. He's a visionary who can effectively communicate ambitious plans or programs. Enterprising, easygoing, enthusiastic. And if I wanted to read more on Greg, having never met him in person, I could double click on this to build my credibility with him. So here we have qualities, behavior, motivations, building trust. And Usman, this is really important because look at us all now. We could say it's not important, but it is. We all sit in these little Zoom boxes. We're meeting less and less people in person. So how do you really understand that person, never having met them, never having taken them to dinner, never having shooken their hand?
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, this is incredible. So what you're telling me, Taylor, is that before you're going out to meet a client or a prospect, you're actually getting all this information on what to expect when you meet them. And so you're doing this all very quickly in your preparation stage.
Exactly. And then scrolling down, we incorporated a really important piece in XIQ. I think it was late last year. It was essentially, we were learning so much about our prospect, we forgot to turn the table and learn enough about ourselves. So here we included sales alignment. It's essentially how my personality is likely to engage with Greg. So it goes from low, medium to high. And even though it's low with me, it doesn't mean I can't sell to him. It just means that I need to take more time in how to approach him. You could also look up any other member of your team here as well. Scrolling down, we have how to work with Greg, motivators and stressors, building trust, communication, emailing styles, selling, and lastly, strengths and weaknesses. And if Greg is my perfect prospect, here's 105 other people in similar job titles and similar industry umbrellas that I could go and target. We also have access to his news, career history, and personal. But Usman, this is a lot of information to kind of grasp. So I want to make it really actionable for a sales rep who may not have that experience.
Yeah, that's right. I think the good news over here, that as you pointed out, is that we've been able to bring all that information in one place, and plus be able to analyze it and give you a flavor of the personality, the emotional quotient, what to expect from a behavioral point of view when you actually interface or interact with that person. However, I think the challenge, Taylor, always remains, too much information, who's going to consume it, right? So what we've done is we're one of the pioneers in generative AI. So we have launched a generative AI bot. Think about it as Chat GPT for XIQ, for business, for sales. And what Taylor, I believe you're doing is you're using this Chat GPT, or Gilroy, as we like to call him, as a personal sales assistant. And this bot is actually helping you get to this, the conclusion or the outcomes of what you really need. Tell us a little bit about how you're using AI to ingest this information and make some sense out of it.
Of course, but first I want to take a step back to what I mentioned earlier, is that not everyone's coming in on the same playing field. There's people who are probably amazing prompt engineers, and there's sales reps that maybe have not touched AI in their life. And so one thing we did here to make it really actionable and also a little bit controllable for our SVPs out there, making sure their AEs and SDRs aren't sending out a million different prompts with a million different answers here. We wanted to make sure it's based in science, proven and tested. And so what we did here is we tested some prompts out for sales reps that are now being utilized by sales reps. And we give you those fill in the blanks. These are ones that I use every single day. So instead of having to come up with my own and troubleshoot this and learn how to speak to AI, we have the prompt set here for you. So here are person insights, LinkedIn interactions, emails, and companies. And so the one I wanted to double click on was, again, what are those personal opportunities for Greg to succeed within his company?
And Taylor, if I may interject on that one. So that's an interesting point. We've talked about it, but I think it's worth sharing. Why are we looking at those opportunities for that person? So too often in sales, we hear about the fear, uncertainty, doubt. Create those and you'll be able to move the bar. But there's now with AI a whole abundance of new opportunities, business opportunities. Number one, and we should be talking about those. Number two, C-level executives, decision makers that you are selling to are essentially people that have been hired to figure out what those new opportunities are and monetize those new opportunities. So understanding what are the personal motivations and what drives that person is so critical to being able to convince them on why they should buy your product. Just knowing the pathway into what their decision tree is can be extremely helpful, right? So it's very interesting that you should go and ask the question. So what are the opportunities for professional growth in this for this person? Because that's really, folks, where the rubber needs to hit the road. You need to be able to figure out what's in it for me, for your particular buyer, what's in it for them. And if you're able to tell your story that aligns with what's in it for them, then you have a winning formula in moving forward with convincing them. So Taylor, tell us, it's exciting stuff that you're doing.
Of course. So here again, we just simply asked a prompt, and one of my favorite features is that it will list it down by numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. These are the things that are really important to Greg. And then of course, it's very conversational. So I could simply ask it to expand, build a business case on number 2, for example. But from here, we all know you can have this. This can be really great information, but if they don't read it, you're not going to get anywhere. So here, I'm going to start by asking it to write a sequence of 3 emails, convincing Greg to schedule a meeting to learn more about XIQ. So here it'll go down, it'll look at his personality, his job title, any documents that you choose to upload to our document hub in our business corpus. And then it'll go down and write an email specifically for Greg as a persuader. And I think this is where XIQ kind of steps over the competition in terms of personalization. You give 100 SDRs the same prompt, maybe you go to OpenAI and use their large language model, it's going to come up with 100 of the same exact emails. But with XIQ, it'll come up with 100 different ones, depending on the personality type and the job history of your prospect. So again, it's just getting you a little bit closer to what's actually important to them. So here again, we have a subject line, salutation, value proposition, and then a call to action. And it'll do this in 3 different emails, because of course, I wish people open their emails at the first time, but oftentimes it's not that way. It takes a few to get in the books. So here it'll go down and give you that sequence.
Yeah, I want to highlight a couple of things that you mentioned over here, Taylor. One thing you mentioned was that it brought in information and the value propositions about our product or our client's product. And the way we've done that is the we have this thing called the document hub where you can upload your content. The moment you upload your content, our large language model can read through that, apply the logic. And when we're constructing or crafting these kind of emails, for example, it can refer specifically back to case studies you may have uploaded, product specifications you may have uploaded into the document hub, brochures you may have uploaded, white papers that would be there. It'll pull information from there and actually inject it in there. So think about that in terms of the time savings for writing a high quality email, right? If I had to do research about the person, I had to do the research about what's happening in their business. I had to then go do research about my product as well, because I need to know about it, what's the latest and greatest over there, and then construct an email that would help drive a meeting with me. That's a pretty tall order. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of work that I have to do. Either I'll just copy paste, rubber stamp a used email, or I will not do the hard work that's required. And either way, it's a lose-lose situation, because I'm then basically putting cookie cutter emails out there. With XIQ, we changed that. We took it out. We made these emails that are very highly well thought through already. And we give you the right to edit and overwrite it. So at worst, it gets you past that writer's block that comes around when we have to sit down and write an email to our prospects, right? That's a very tough topic to get your head around in the first place. But Gilroy has helped us jump much further with it. I can put the last mile or last effort on that email, own it to the way I really want it, and then send it out. And the second point, Taylor, is that your open rates have gone up, right? Our open rates have gone up 5 to 6 times, right, of what they used to be. So these are pretty significant jumps. What that means is that Taylor's emails are getting opened a lot, 5 to 6 more times than they used to be open. That means more prospects are listening in and buying into the idea of that personalized email coming, and they're getting attracted to what is coming as a result of that. And so the volume of business is going up, lead generation is going up, because the quality of emails has improved. Right, Taylor?
Exactly, but this is only part of the picture. We can understand Greg, we can understand every single part of him, but if we don't have that business acumen behind us, once we get to really putting in our change operations or a product into a business, that's where we're going to fall short. So I really want to talk about also, how do you build that business acumen? When I speak to sales reps every day, some people have 100 accounts at best, thousands at worst, that they need to understand and target within the year. So there's a few things we can do. and Atisham, if you don't mind just hopping back over to the slides, that we can really do to understand our company.
So the business slide, please, the one which is shared with the business breakdown at the show. So I think we weren't sharing these slides at the start, and we're going to start just maybe take a minute to go through that particular slide. Yeah, if we can just go back to the three slides first before that. Yeah. So just to kind of recap what Taylor was saying is that she's focused on three things with AI. The buyer, understanding the buyer's mindset. We just showed that to you. We're now going and looking at the second pillar of her sales success, which is the business, understanding the business acumen piece. And then the third part is going to be about managing relationships. So let's jump forward into the slide, which is about the buyer, the business, please. Atisham. Yeah, this one. Go ahead, Taylor. Why don't you set it up?
Of course. So again, it's about building that business acumen. So when you're building something, there's a few different pieces that come into play. So first, we want those sales triggers. And so sales triggers are essentially anytime a key account is in the news based on 21 different topics. So we're starting to feed you everything that's happening in the news, on the web, on Twitter, LinkedIn, and things like that. Next that comes is the financials. Sales reps know this. If a company doesn't have money, it might not be a great prospect. So what are those KPIs that they're reaching? Is it good? Is it bad? Is, their stock price going up? Or how can we help them increase that? Next, the next one is often overlooked. It was one of my most painful memories as an SDR is going in and doing SWOT analysis. And it's bringing out those strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities for a company, not only for you to know, but also for you to align your solution to. Then lastly, we're going to be showing this today, so don't get too excited, is the Smart Account Plan. So with a click of a few buttons, putting this all together into an edible PowerPoint for you. So with that, I'm going to jump back over to my XIQ to show you what this looks like for NVIDIA if I was selling to them from XIQ's side. So what you want to do is essentially look up a company. We get an overview of who they are and what they do, but a few things I want to jump into again is those sales triggers. So here within XIQ, I want you to think of it as a never-ending news feed. These are fully filterable, so I could add or subtract the information that's really important to me. And then I could just double click into an article without having to leave XIQ, without having to get distracted, and read the article in its entirety. We could also share this on social media with my prospect or perhaps congratulating them. And this will allow NVIDIA to know that I understand what's happening within their company, I'm invested, and I'm also helping them grow their audience. Next thing I want to show again is those financials, so latest earnings, annual reports, and SEC filings, all available within XIQ. We have the SWOT analysis, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of a company. And this isn't only pulled from those 10K reports. That's only half the picture every quarter or every year if we're lucky. So here it pulls in from all that news that we're given as well. And then we also have pain points. So aligning our solution to these pain points. The next thing I want to show is we talked about Gilroy. Of course, you could ask Gilroy questions on this page, but the really important part is this Smart Account Plan. And so when I click into the Smart Account Plan, it'll give me a high-level overview of everything that's going to be created from this. So account overview, financial summaries, competitor analysis, essentially taking this whole library of information and giving you a presentation to share. The next thing you have to do is simply add your business industry and then describe your product or service in detail. You can upload documents if you would like for XIQ to parse in your specific company outlook. Then you can hit next and you're going to simply add your buyer. So who are you targeting? You could either add job titles, you could add specific people, or if you have a group of people you already know you're selling to, you could add that buyer group here as well. Next, it's gonna ask you to add a few competitors. You can replace these if you want. So you could do these prospect per prospect. You could do your prospects, competitors, and more, and it'll go ahead and compare them in that PowerPoint for you to present. Then lastly, you can choose to add or subtract any part of this. So maybe there's an account that's coming up and I really don't need the growth opportunities. We've already had long conversations about that. You can simply unclick and then you hit generate. So this is gonna take about 10 to 12 minutes. I won't keep you here waiting for 10 to 12 minutes. I've already created one before this. So I'm gonna go ahead and share that now to show you exactly what it looks like. And so here, again, it's a PowerPoint. I've spoken to multiple customers who only have PDFs. Here, take your name, add your logo, subtract and add as needed. We have our table of contents. And again, this was created in less than 10 minutes. It normally takes about 8 for me. We have our account overview, so who they are and what they do. Financial summaries, and all the blue links are clickable. Insights, so showing what is the most important things that are happening at NVIDIA right now. And then, of course, that competitor analysis, where is it sitting against its competitors? Not only on those KPI metrics, but also on those SWOT analysis. Next, we have the SWOT analysis specifically for your prospect company. And then the revenue growth opportunities for your prospect company. So again, there's two sides of the coin. There's always going to be those challenges, but XIQ also likes to look at the opportunities. And I think that's a really important part of value engineering for your particular product.
And it's so difficult at times for even seasoned salespeople to invest the time to do the research, find out what are some of the challenges and opportunities for companies, and then be able to map the right solution. I've been in software solution sales for a long period of time, and it's always a challenge. And here, what Gilroy and XIQ have done is they've fast-tracked that, and they've assessed a lot of information, analyzed a lot of information in being able to identify where are those growth opportunities and challenges and how XIQ could potentially help. Now, equipped with this, Taylor, I'm sure your discussions with your prospects are at a totally different level, right? Instead of just going feature function kind of discussion, now you're talking business partnerships, how they could potentially make a much more profound impact in their sales, right? And just fast track them.
Exactly. I think so many sales reps are afraid of having those open conversations. For me, I could present this to NVIDIA and say, hey, this is what I found. Let me know what you're seeing, and then we can collaborate together. We're so afraid of overselling or not selling enough that we get stuck in the product instead of these opportunities that you can have as a partnership. And that's what XIQ is really trying to do. We're trying to bring you up to speed with your account to have those valuable conversations. You could present this to your client if you wanted. You could present this to your board for a QBR, change XIQ logo. And then of course, once you build this, it's done. You can regenerate it at any point in time within XIQ. So you no longer have those siloed research. Because also there's a big problem, Usman, is some people have no technology, no resources. Some people have, occasional resources, sales enablement, one or two off tools. And then some sales reps have all the tools in the world. They have research teams, they have 5 different softwares they're going to for their insights. And so we're also trying to level the playing field of, here's a product that everyone can use. You can use it as much or as, little as you like, or help you kind of up where your weakness is. So maybe you're not building account plans with this. Maybe you're just looking at the personalities. Maybe you love building account plans on your own. So there's so much information in XIQ. Our goal is for you to really use it where you see fit. So here, we then go into the alignment of a corporation with Sales Accelerator, so your product, of course. And then one of my favorite parts, a business case. I don't know if I've built a business case without XIQ because they're long, lengthy, it's time consuming, and to start it, it's just generally hard and stressful. So here it gives you your executive summary, objectives, your goals, the benefits, and then of course the implementation plan. So what are those steps you're going to take to make yourself successful? And one thing I want to point out is, where are we getting this information, Usman? We have references. If it's not referenced, I don't believe it. In today's world, I feel like if nothing's referenced, where is it coming from? Is it just a myth that's being made up? So here's references that you could go to read more, or just clarify where that information is really coming from at the source.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Let me just add a few things. You said at the start that, you could share this with your client, right? And I just want to highlight that clients today expect a level of preparedness from the people that are sellers, right? They expect you to know about their business. They expect you to have some business acumen. They expect you to know who they are. They expect you to be prepared. So even by just showing this, that you've done the legwork and the homework that's required, it raises their confidence in their ability to trust you, because you have taken the extra effort to prepare for that. And that goes a long ways in opening those doors, those mental block doors that people have. Just showing that you have worked hard for somebody to get their business is an age-old wise tactic, and you can do it very quickly with the help of AI, where it has collected a large amount of information and made it really readily available. So I think that's, Taylor, to your point, right? You realize that personalization and showing that you've been working to prepare is really helpful, and that opens up a lot of different doors. And secondly, I mean, what a time save, right? In getting it all in one place. You can just walk around on your mobile phone and just look at it and read up. You can refresh it every month if you wanted to do that, and see what is the delta happening here. And so you're always caught up. And XIQ is also sending you those sales triggers via emails and alerts. And that's really, really exciting. So how are we? So what we've done is we've covered how to understand the mindset of a buyer. We've looked up how to do research and stay on top of a company. And I think you're getting ready to start showing us how you manage your relationships with these prospective buyers and companies. Tell us a little bit about that.
Of course. So, like I said before, I wish I had one person I had to talk to, but that is all a dream we can save for tomorrow, because unfortunately, it's just not that way. And so oftentimes there's multiple decision makers. Maybe there's 4, maybe there's 8, maybe there's 12 once you get through procurement and legal. So here, what we've done is we've created a way for you to organize those relationships. And I want to really clarify, organize those relationships. We have CRMs. I personally, CRM is my enemy. I will openly say it. It's what I dread to sit down in every single Monday and organize, but that only really tracks revenue. We want to focus on tracking those relationships. So we have our doers, coaches, and blockers that our AI engine automatically sorts our buyers into. And so when we look at this, it's a visual, shows who they are, what they do, and then of course their XIQ predicted personality type. So you can create this through a buyer group, create it for a meeting, create it for a dinner, whatever you may be going to. And then you have the ability to drag and drop people from one category into the other within the sales accelerator. But I'll show you that in a second. Next, we also have the ability to show our alignment with every single one of these people in this buyer group within our smart account plan as well. So this is automated. It'll pull all of those buyers, show you the opportunity, and then show you an icebreaker. And these icebreakers get very specific. I had one time that told me about a quote in a book that she had written, and I was able to bring that up during the conversation. I have never read her book. I didn't even know she had a book before that, but it started a really valuable conversation and built that trust. So here it gives you all of those things without you even having to click another button. And lastly, there wouldn't be a sale that I've ever had to go through without some challenges or roadblocks along the way. So we also give you those risks and mitigations for you to bring up front for your particular client or partner. And Usman, I know this is one of your favorite parts as well, is really focusing on where there might be gaps or maybe they're missing steps and kind of overcoming them at the beginning so you're not falling down the stairs at the end trying to backtrack. So that was the Smart Account Plan. I'm happy to show anyone this Smart Account Plan for one of their own companies at the end of today's call or possibly in another call at some point if you choose to do so. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I really want to double click back on that buyer group because it is so important. So here, there's a few things you want to do with your buyer group. The first thing is going to be analyzing them, who they are, what they do. Lastly, again, it's not just one person, it's multiple people. So how do you build emails for a group of individuals? You say XIQ, you're meant for that one-to-one. What happens if there's one to few? We'll give you that answer. And then of course, how do you collaborate with your team members? I'm not going into sales one-on-one. It's often me and a few people because it takes a few people to win a deal nowadays. So here, let me share my screen and I'll jump into a buyer group and show you all those. So jumping into a buyer group on XIQ Sales Accelerator, they're very easy to create. All you have to do is add members. You can search by first name, last name. It has some recommended ones that you can simply add as needed. And again, we have our doers, our confident and fast-paced, our coaches, our problem-oriented individuals, and then our blockers. It doesn't mean they're blockers necessarily. It just means that they're more problem-oriented. So maybe these are the individuals that need all the ROI case studies and implementation plans. Here, let's say I met with Carlos, who was originally a doer, but now he's a coach. He's going to be making introductions for us over time. I can simply add a note. I can hit done. Me and Usman are going into this deal together. I can share it with him so he understands who we should be looking for when we get to the table. And lastly, there's a whole list of prompts around the people that we could generate over time. So here I could provide a list with the top 5 people who have the highest sales alignment for myself. So I could go ahead and pick out my champion. And Usman, I know we were traveling recently. You were going to bring this up, but I'm going to put you under the hot seat first. How often did you have to bring out your phone to look up a person, or how did you really manage those individuals? We were at a conference and there was probably 300 to 400 people walking around that we, as the personality experts, had to know by name before we even got to their hand to give them a handshake. So how are you managing that?
Yeah, we put our money where our mouth is actually. So we've got it all on a mobile device. And that's exactly a great use case that, we've been, benefiting from ourselves, is that when you're at these crazy conferences and you're coming across all these people and you want to have something intelligent to say to them, how do you do that? And simply, when I met them, I would type their name in. 3 seconds later, I would have not only their personality, but also where they've worked in the past, things that would be common, topics that could be of interest to them, and ended up having a lot of great contacts that I could immediately figure out how to be unique and offer them something that was a little bit more personal and intimate for them. And so the mobile piece is very, very helpful. And the best part about it, Taylor, is that I like to do a lot of social media posting. I think there's a lot of people that are reading posts in general, whether they're reading what you're posting or they're reading what somebody has shared or liked. It's getting out there. And when it gets out there, having something, again, well written, well thought through is very important. And I use Gilroy on my mobile device all the time. I take a little concept, put it there, the Gilroy, please convert this into a LinkedIn post. And voila, 4 seconds later, I have 95% of the post I want to use. Maybe make a little more amendments, add some hashtags, done, right? And I'm getting a lot of likes, and you've done a few of these yourselves, and you know this. So again, what XIQ's mobile engine capability does is it doesn't allow you to miss a beat just because you're out of the office. Today, we're always out of the office, right? I don't think I've sat in a proper office and worked um, properly through weeks and months of going to the office and working there the last 20 years, probably, right? So um, life has changed, folks. And the tools such as AI are just enablers for you to be able to have a lifestyle of choice. So Taylor, let me ask you this. Were you able to see a little bit of where you were traveling, right? Or were you just stuck to your hotel room and conference and email response time? Or did you get to breathe a little bit and also experience what you were seeing?
Of course, I got to go sightseeing. I got to go to nice dinners. I got to see everything around me with that work-life balance. Of course, having still knowing, where my work sits, being up to speed, giving speeches, sitting at dinners, while still not having to be stressed about, oh my gosh, I'm afraid they're going to bring up something I don't know. I'm afraid a person's going to sit here that I don't know, because those are things you cannot control. There's always going to be people that you don't know that you have to quickly look up. There's always going to be things that you want to post that you may have not known yesterday. It's how do you really mitigate it to make yourself sound educated and meet your prospect where they're meeting you. I think that's a big thing as well. To meet them at the conversation they're ready to have. And so that was a quick overview of XIQ. I want to point out that if anyone wants to look up their own target company, I am happy to sit with them through an XIQ demo and then give them back all the information we found in an email of that smart account plan for a particular prospect that you are targeting. That's one thing, that's our gift to you, if you choose to come and have a conversation with us.
Yeah, and I think at the Sham, if you can share the slide, which is, how to get your own art of the possible workshop done. And as Taylor was talking about it, um, yeah, let's go to that one and then come back to this. So again, here's a, code as well, where you can scan it and essentially reserve yourself a workshop. It's a 1-hour workshop. And what we do is we ask you to identify a prospect company and a product that you would like to sell. And what we will do is we'll take about 45 minutes to walk you through how XIQ will help you build out that sort of an account plan and what kind of information you'll be able to get. And it's extremely valuable. You get a lot of clarity for your direction, and you get a good idea of the validity of information XIQ holds as well. So we invite you to that. That's the QR code. Please sign up. And please, there are questions, put them, we have the chat open, happy to take those in the open chat. You can go back now one slide while we're waiting for questions. Again, Taylor, you and I have been on these webinars quite a bit, and we've spoken to some real thought leaders and market leaders in the B2B sales and marketing space. And I think one of the common themes, maybe you'll agree with me, is that there's got to be salespeople need to have business acumen. They need to be able to understand. And the old adage is that if you understand my business, you got my you've got my business. So that's so important. And XIQ has been designed to really help you turbocharge getting up to the moment on what's happening within a client. Second, speed. This is one I am very agitated about all the time. This, and which is responsiveness, right? How quickly can you respond to your customers' needs or what's happening in the market, breaking news? And again, having a head start, having the ability to get an alert and being told about it is super, super helpful, just in managing, all my clients and prospects. And then getting some guidance from Gilroy, based on the personality type, how to engage with this person, like, especially when I'm in those Zoom box kind of conversations, super useful. And we've been able to reduce the cycle time in terms of how long it takes to conduct a sale, because we're able to go through a value-added exercise much faster with our clients and prospects. So folks,
Exactly.
and any questions? Sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
Yeah, there is actually a question. So I think a big one is, where are we getting our information from? That's the golden ticket question. Where is all this coming from? What's Gilroy created about?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And so Chat GPT is the internet that has been indexed till, I think, September 2023 or something like that. It has an expiration date. XIQ has its own corpus. So number one corpus is where we analyze public available data on people, and we're able to predict their DISC personality type, which is a behavioral personality assessment methodology. We're able to predict that. So we use that information. Then we have a complete database, which is around what's happening in companies, news, financials, stock prices, what the executives are saying, SWOT analysis. All of that resides in that database for hundreds of thousands of companies. So we can tap into that. Um, and the third part is that we allow our customers to upload their content as well. So we have three unique sets of data pools that we can tap into in addition to what ChatGPT does. And then we have a conversational large language model. And now you're pulling information that is very succinct and specific to your client or your query. It's not information, the same information for tourist versus a financial analyst versus a construction person. It's custom curated for a sales or marketing personality professional, and therefore you're getting the best of the best information really, really fast, right? Hopefully that answers the question.
So the next question, and Usman, I'll pass this over to you, is this is very one-to-one approached. What happens when it's one to many? So we
Yeah.
speak with a lot of clients I know that are very ABM. They have their high level target accounts, they're pouring millions of dollars into winning over. So what happens when you do have a big client that you can't, it's just not one person beyond the buyer group?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. So that's the beauty of having these three dimensions to Gilroy. The one, which is the behavioral mindset at a very scalable, huge 1 billion individuals worth of data that it can analyze. And then having business information and potentially your own collateral all involved in the in the decision making and in the content generation capabilities, right? So this is why XIQ can really help you um, move.
One thing,
Yeah,
and I think one thing I wanted to point out
one
with
too
that
many. Yeah, sorry, go
was,
ahead.
in those ABM approaches, you need to continually build contacts,
Yeah,
right? You can't have three, because what if those three people move? So what I was going to say is, we have a whole other capability we didn't show today that allows you to build that demand generation at either a very specific approach, so that ABM approach, specific topics, specific people, specific products, or build it high level for anyone and everyone under your audience list as well. But that's a whole nother conversation. But Usman loves to have those. So if
yeah,
you're ever having that conversation with him, I highly suggest it.
yeah. So sorry, I let me get back to that question as well. So because we have these capabilities in Gilroy's to assess personality, we can actually take a large list of individuals, load it up, and start writing emails for each person's personality at a scalable manner. And that's really, really a remarkable feat in the context of what we're doing with sales and personalization. So you can do that one to many and we have other tactics as well. And again, I think our team has been floating around a link in there. Please use that link to schedule a time to do one of those workshops. Taylor, what else do we have?
I don't know if we have any other questions. I know we're coming to the end of our morning webinar, but I just want to double click on that call to action. Oh, there is a question. There is a hand raised. I'm not sure if we could get the question in the chat. Oh, here we go. So is it possible to get the emails of the person within XIQ? And Usman, I'll hand this one over to you because I know that's
Yeah.
on our roadmap.
Yeah. So at the moment, the way we allow you to get emails is if you have your own email data pool, you can sign into that and pull the data, the email and contact information data. We're also looking at partnering with third-party providers to be able to showcase emails and phone numbers. But it's not something that XIQ does directly. But we are looking at how we can furnish it because we realize that you all are looking for a one-stop shop. And that's really what XIQ is built around, is being able to serve all your sales and marketing needs in one location. So yeah, that's coming. Good question.
I think with that, all of our questions are answered. If for some reason we did not get to your question, or you have other questions, or even just want to have a conversation about what we're seeing, Usman and I sit within SKOs, sales meetings all day, every day. So we're happy to talk about what we're seeing in the environment and maybe what's happening within yours. Again, this webinar has been recorded, and we will be sending out that smart account plan we built for XIQ out in a follow-up email, so you can read that through the entirety. And again, if you want one built for your prospect coming from your company, we're happy to do so in a quick 20-minute meeting. So I want to thank everyone for joining today. Usman, thank you so much. XIQ team, thank you for helping us organize this. And I hope to see all of you on a one-off call so we can help you with your potential prospects, or again, just have a conversation about what we're seeing in the market.
Thank you, Taylor. Love it. I think great success to you. And it's all apparent, right, that all these tools are coming, help you propel to new levels of success. And I think that's something that we are here and very excited about being able to offer to our attendees as well. And I thank everybody that joined us today as well for coming to our webinar. Hopefully it was extremely valuable information. Thank you so much.